So in teaching workshop, what we do is we have selected these master trainers. So these especially these teachers, they will be given learning by the J over the period of 5 days, and then we can apply those aspects to the other departments also. Basically, our schedule will be today forenoon mainly, not afternoon.
Yeah.
Afternoon, they will go to visit clinics and dairy farm, other things. And Wednesday, tomorrow, then Thursday, and then Monday and Tuesday, 4 days. And I think you should be available on these 4 days. Wednesday, Thursday, please note down Wednesday, Thursday, Monday and Tuesday. 9 a.m. to about 9:50, 9:30 a.m. to till 5 a.m. We will have one morning session and one evening session. So it will be all interactive type of sessions. And once you have not, shall they introduce?
Yeah. I had a brief introduction.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's fine, okay. So basically they are professors from pharmacology, from gynecology, from anatomy, from surgery, from physiology, from animal genetics and breeding, and parasitology, and microbiology and public health.
Wonderful. Good.
Yeah. And Kiran and Gursher, Kiran and Gursher, they are in this project. They have just joined on 1st of March. So they are working on this, what we have to do, how to do curriculum method. Okay, so you.
Well, welcome everyone.
Yeah.
Nice to see you. It's a real honor for me to be here today, a real pleasure to make my first visit to India. Very excited to learn about your university. At my university, at the University of Saskatchewan, a lot of well-respected veterinary medicine colleagues of yours. Lucky enough to have, some of you may have visited my university. I know some of my people have visited here, even as recently as a few weeks. So I've had a chance to talk to them, and they hold your university in very high esteem, and they talk about it being number one, and you have to go there and you have to meet these people. And so when the invitation came, I was very lucky to be able to come here today, because it's Wednesday today, right? Oh, that's right. So I was ready to start on Wednesday, but anyway, we're starting today. So as you know, in our world,
he was interested to roam around the university. But I thought, let's first start, then you can go.
So I have to apologize. I look like someone who's just come in. I don't feel like I'm dressed very well for you today.
No, that's a working dress.
It's okay. Well, thank you. You're very kind. So I'm a little bit humbled in my appearance today, but if it's also going to be very hot, then maybe that's to my advantage to not have a suit jacket on today or a tie, and to be a little more formal.
So these are students from the internship?
Yes.
Yeah. So they will also be part of this program.
Good morning. Welcome. We were just talking about you. We're just saying what wonderful students are at this university and how we wish we had some in the room. Then, like a miracle, the doors opened and you came in, and now we have students here. So our day will be complete. Welcome. Yeah, exactly. Dean is always busy. We don't really need the dean, right? We can get work done without. Thank you for the introduction and our day. Now, we are, as the dean mentioned, this is an opportunity for you to learn a bit about some of the things that the university is hoping to do differently and to change and whatnot. But you don't have to worry about memorizing everything that happens because we're recording it. So down at the end there, everything that happens, there will be a record of. So if you wish to share that with people in your departments, if you find value in what happens today and you want to use some of it as a discussion, that there will be the artifacts. And my colleague in crime in the corner there, he is going to be helping me do the most important job, and that's pushing the button to go to the next slide. Okay, anyway, so again, as I mentioned, happy to be here today. My first visit, and I've been treated so well by all the people that I've had a chance to meet with. Gersher has been unreal. He came all the way to Delhi in the dark to pick me up and drove all the way back in the same day in the dark so that I could be here today and be somewhat well rested. As you know, when you travel around the world, sometimes you don't know what day it is, what time it is, what country you are in, or anything like that. So I will do my best to remember what day it is, what time it is, and what country it is. But I'm very happy to be here today. If you go to the next slide, what should we do? Do we need, like, should I do this or that, or just point, or what do you think?
Next slide.
Next slide. Okay, we'll do that then. So you can go back one. I wanted to just show you what I left behind in Canada. Somebody just groaned. Somebody just said, "Oh, yes." When I left, it was minus 30 degrees Celsius, and very windy, and very snowy, and very cold. So I was again. That's why I'm smiling, because it's not cold, it's not windy, it is not snowy, and it is plus 30. It's on the other side, so it's a very big change for me. And again, very lucky to be here today. But I just wanted to give you a sense of my world, because I'm getting a chance to see your world today, and my world is very much like that. And that was a picture that I took when I was out walking around on the trails in the snow, just to show you what our agriculture is very seasonal, much like yours, but our seasonal agriculture and veterinary medicine and care of animals often involves very deep snow and lots of other natural factors that come into play. Next. All right. Today, what we're doing is, and you may have been thinking this in your own mind, wait a minute, is he from the University of Saskatchewan? I thought our agreement was with the University of Calgary. Like, what's going on here? Why is he here from Saskatchewan? I am here as a faculty member at the University of Saskatchewan, but I am working with the University of Calgary. And Dr. Baljit Singh, who some of you know, probably all of you know, was the dean of the vet school in Calgary, and then went back to Saskatchewan. But he believed in this project so much that he asked if there were people who would be interested, and he reached out to me. And so I'm also working with Dr. Kent Hecker, who's been here as well, Dr. Amy Warren, and those are people from the University of Calgary. And that's the group that is the larger partner with Gadvasu in this twinning agreement. And you can see on the screen there as a reminder, these are kind of the important things, as the dean mentioned, that hope to arise from this project. The idea that outcomes-based curriculum is really important. That not just the knowledge, but the application of knowledge. And that's a significant change in many professional and practical colleges and universities. And that's something that is a big change for a lot of folks. Even though you've been doing it for a long time, that kind of language and how we assess students is making modifications and changes to what's going on. So that's part of what's happening. The idea of developing highly skilled teachers and master teachers is really important. And that's why this academy exists today. These 5 days including today, that we'll spend together to look at teaching, to think about how teaching can be improved in the people that you work with. Some information that may be new to you, some information that you may be saying like, "Oh, Jay, I've heard that 1,000 times before. Do you have to tell us again?" And yes, I'll probably tell you again. So I would appreciate your patience as I go through some material that maybe you have heard many times. The other thing that allows us to be leaders and master teachers is dialogue and engagement with students. And so that's something that, we have students here today who are representing all of the students in the program, but it's really great when you are working and designing and thinking about your teaching and learning to have a student voice, to have a student perspective, to find out what works for them. I think one of the things that I'm really fascinated about with this program is that your students are coming from high school.
Yeah.
And in Canada, at our vet colleges, people people go to school, they come with a master's, sometimes they come with a PhD, and they've worked in clinics and they have worked with vets, and then they apply, and they're often, because it's so competitive, and not to say yours isn't, but it's a different kind of competitive, they're often quite, they're older, they're mature students. And so we look at those kinds of vet students in Canada as adult learners. Whereas what you are doing here is you're working with students who are coming out of high school, who are maybe haven't seen as much of the world and don't have a family to look after, or don't have to, do a job. And I was really stunned today to hear that a lot of your vets, day one veterinarians, right? The most important day of their lives, right? Until day two. They can be 23 years old. And I'm thinking in Canada, that's when people are starting to think about or get their applications together. And so I think it's very unique when we talk about teaching and learning, what's different about your students and how they are really unique. The other thing is the outcomes-based assessment framework is something that is taking place. And I know with the curriculum mapping, and we'll talk about curriculum mapping, we have these two long-term employees in the curriculum part of it who've been here for 1 week and 1 day in their jobs. So happy anniversary to both of you. 1 week, you survived. But we'll be working with them to talk about how curriculum mapping helps understand or helps you understand what you're supposed to be teaching and how you're interacting with students. I'm speed wise, I'm doing okay. Haven't lost anybody. Okay. At any point in time, just like call time or do this and say, wait a minute, Jay, can you just back up and review some stuff? And I don't mind being interrupted at all. So this ongoing partnership, if you want to go to the next slide, lots of really good progress to date. And so I joke that my two colleagues here have been working on curriculum mapping for a week and 1 day. I have not been involved in this project for more than 2 or 3 months, but I have had a chance to see how much commitment. I have control of my own life now. We'll see. How much work has gone into this with the pandemic, with the challenges that have come into play, with having universities in different parts of the world and working together. It's been really interesting to see how this has come together. And one of the clearest aspects of this is the strong partnership. And what that says to me is that there is a buy-in from Gadbasu, from faculty, from the students, as well as from the University of Calgary. And that, I think, is really important. If you want a successful partnership, you have to have people engaged, and that's what I'm seeing. The teaching academies, I think, has been really productive and a real success. And I hope that what we are doing together contributes to that. I know that there have been a couple of visits here to your university. And then you have also had the chance to participate in the online learning through the University of Calgary, through their Taylor school. How many people here participated in the online sessions? Did any of you participate in those? Okay, a couple, good. Not just the assistant professors, but senior researchers and assistant professors. And yes, good. Okay. Hi. Thank you. The other important progress that has happened so far is the curriculum mapping. And we are going to talk about that in depth, but curriculum mapping is something that is a thankless job. Maybe some of you have done it before. It involves a lot of review, a lot of data management, a lot of reading in terms of important national standards or other outcomes that must be learned. And on next week, what day? Next Tuesday morning, we will have these two fine colleagues and myself talking about all the great progress that has happened and some of the opportunities for you to take those ideas back to your departments and have people working with the curriculum mapping. The other thing that I think is certainly an important indicator of success, and we all are happy when our funding agencies continue to fund us and provide us money and not say, no, we don't think this is going to be useful. The extension of the funding for these twinning projects, and in this one in particular, so that I think it's now WOA, right? It was the OIE, they changed their name, they rebranded. What does it stand for again? World
Organization of Animal Health.
The World Organization of Animal Health. Thanks. I knew you were sitting here for more than just your good looks, right? So you're helping me out today. They have extended the funding to ensure that people have these opportunities to continue to do these projects. And with the ranking of this program and the esteem in which this university is held, when we see those successes, they can only migrate to other parts of university teaching across India and again, show leadership to show how these programs have come together. So really important progress to date. I can do my own slides now. I feel like I've been released. Okay. So if that progress has happened and we were happy with it, we wanted to just close the book on it and walk away, that would be fine. But we are here to do more than that. We're here to continue that work. The academy journey, as I mentioned before, there have been 2 academies and a couple of other smaller opportunities to learn. I think Dr. Singh did a lecture on problem-based learning. And I'm not sure, did he do any lectures when he was here with Joe and Fabienne a couple of weeks ago? No? He just kind of ran around the room and as his usual.
Earlier he had a lecture on
Oh, really?
problem-based learning in anatomy.
Oh, okay. Oh, wonderful. Excellent.
The conference also. The conference also he had that lecture.
Yeah. Okay.
There was a conference that is
Yeah.
there he delivered this lecture.
Oh, okay. Oh, good.
But that session we have in anatomy
Yeah.
in last July or August
Mhm.
when he came here.
Yeah.
So we had a session of 3 or 4 days,
Oh, wow.
problem-based
Well, that's good.
learning.
And I think that those opportunities to have even just a single individual come and introduce a new idea and then spend some quality time on it, I think that's really important. So that's what we'll do over the time that we will be spending together. The idea of exploration and conversation of teaching and learning. I'm going to talk a bit about me, which I don't like doing, but I'm forced to do that anyway. But I love talking about teaching and learning. It is a passion for me. It is at the heart of what I do. And I'm very lucky because I get to come and work with people like yourselves who are dedicated leaders and learners. And I always learn when I have the opportunity. I can bring process, but I get to learn about disciplines. I get to learn about the many things that you are passionate about and have studied for a long time. And that's what we will be doing as we are kind of gathering together, especially with the kickoff that we have today. I think it's really important if you are working in a very, you know what your field is, veterinary medicine, right? But there are so many disciplines within, there are 17 departments, 18 departments? 18? Okay. So think about the variety of the people that are there and the knowledge that they bring together. And so if we see ourselves as being, we are only going to be our department, we're not going to work with anyone else, we're just going to be our own little kingdom, and we're not, then what happens is that what you have learned, you don't share. What makes your students successful could maybe make them successful in other parts of the program. So it's really good to start thinking about how do we exchange ideas? How do we team up with one another so that information that comes in one course or one area is then found in another, or we don't have to do it again because one group did such a good job of it. So that notion of exchanging ideas, I think is going to be really important. Instead of just hanging on to something really tightly, the idea of letting it go. I don't know if there are any people that study butterflies and other flying insects and whatnot, but it's beautiful, right? You let it go and it flies and then it goes somewhere else and it pollinates, right? And there was a bee. Was there a bee in here earlier? I think we saw a bug flying around, hopefully not pollinating me, but that idea, that metaphor, and that's what we're doing when we come together in these sessions. So, and hello to the gentleman who came late. Welcome. Nice to see you. The other idea is that we can talk in theory a lot, but if we're not finding practical ways of applying what we're doing, then again, we're talking in theory. And we're all researchers, we're all scientists, we're all people who engage with theory and talk about really important concepts. But you also have the beauty of being in a profession where you are looking at an animal or you're looking at a particular environment, and that practical nature of it, I think, needs to be reflected in the work that you're doing as teachers. So that idea of having those practical aspects to what's going on. So that's hopefully what we'll do. Again, what's the end goal? Improve our programming, improve the experience for students, make better vets, and again, I learned today, see, I'm learning hopefully as much as I'll be able to share with you, more of a push towards independent veterinarians in India. So not just moving into a government job. Sorry, if all you students, you're just like, all right, a government job, okay, no problem. But wouldn't it be exciting to be an entrepreneur and to start your own practice and to do all those other things that allow you to have control and follow a dream? Those are some of those benefits that we see when we change a program, because it opens up new opportunities and new ways of thinking for people. Not that there's anything wrong with the old ways, but here's another layer or another circle or another whatever image you want to use that again makes a program that much more appealing to people and gives them the opportunities to be successful and continue to grow. The other thing that we're going to be talking about is leadership. And leadership is always a word that people are unsure of when it comes to doing what you do. So if your job is to be a chair or a head of a department and you are, processing papers and you're meeting with people and you're answering emails and you're like, that's not leadership. But oftentimes it is, because you take the energy and the time and the caring to go into that. And from the work that you do, the people who are in your departments are successful, or they learn from you and they come to you. And so just by being here today, you are demonstrating that leadership to the people in your departments, to the university. The dean was here, we got rid of him, now he's gone. Now we can actually get some work done, right? But that's that next level of leadership that's really important. And I hope that you see yourselves as leaders. Even if you are humble about it and you're like, no, I'm not a leader, I come to work every day and that's all I need to worry about. But that's what you're doing by being here today. And by going through these processes, you will have faculty members come to you and ask you questions. And sometimes it's not easy to answer them and you're not really sure where to go, but that is part of that leadership, is that shared uncertainty and working together to find solutions in some of the ways that we've talked about. So as was mentioned, and this is hot off the press, we just finished changing all this around about half an hour ago. Again, and that's why I'm dressed kind of like a slob, and I feel like, anyway, my work clothes, you referred to them as my work clothes, right? So I'm ready to go, okay. So this is what we're going to do. Some of these days may be compressed and changed around. So today, when we were talking about the introduction, overview, and review, that's kind of what we're doing right now. Probably not going to get us to 1 o'clock, or we'll probably be done long before 1 o'clock, and we'll start to shift some of the teacher identity information in. That's one of the handouts that you got is going to be a part of our teacher identity session. There's also another one that was emailed to you that I was hoping that if we started tomorrow that you would have a chance to read. So it's kind of coming to you out of the blue. And if you're a little like, Jay, I haven't read this, stop asking me questions about it. It's okay. So I understand completely. So we've changed things around. Tomorrow we're going to talk about assessment. Is anybody here like an assessment geek, like excited about it? Anybody get excited about assessment? Just me? Okay, that's all right. So we will become assessment geeks tomorrow, and we'll talk about how wonderful good assessment is, and when it works, and how we design it, and how we can apply it to what's going on. And then we'll, again, keeping with our practical idea, we're going to take a look at some assessment tools, things that you might want to use. There's the bee is scaring people in the back row, is chasing the students around. We need a net. And then on Thursday, we are going to do some curriculum mapping, and I'm going to take you through that journey in terms of what it is, what it isn't, and some of the ways that you can start to frame the curriculum mapping for people in your departments. So it's going to be some of it's going to be pretty basic, but I think it's going to allow you to speak to many of those items that people come to you and say, why are we doing this? It's a waste of time. We've always taught this way. Like, why change it? Curriculum mapping is a systematic way of making positive change. Course design, we're going to talk about planning your courses, putting them together, how you can prepare for doing the best possible job of building instruction. Teaching strategies, again, that's going to be on Monday, and then student engagement. So which methods can we use to get students to really be excited about what we're putting together? And then a curriculum mapping follow-up, and then SOTL. And I do have some, I'm just checking my notes here. I have some detailed information about each one of those, but I think it's going to come way later. So anyway. So why am I here? I mentioned before, I am representing your dean for part of this and the University of Calgary, which is kind of strange. I have lived in Calgary. I did go to school in Calgary, but I didn't go to the University of Calgary, but I didn't tell them that. So they still let me come anyway. So that's good. My job is to be a facilitator. And that is something that I enjoy. I enjoy working with groups of people. I wasn't sure when I got out of bed this morning how many people were going to be here. So I thought, okay, 18 departments, 500,000 students, 37,000 faculty. I don't know, like maybe there's going to be 200 people today. And then the dean said, no, there's going to be probably 8 or 10, and then a small number of students. I'm like, oh, well, that's lovely. Because that means that we all get a chance to talk, and we all get a chance to listen and exchange for one another. Not that it wouldn't have been great to see every single faculty member here today. The room might have been a little full, and to see all of the other students and all of your friends, they're all maybe sleeping in right now and not at class. I don't know. Did you get out of class to come here today? You don't have to go to class? What's that? Oh, there you go. Lucky you. Or maybe you'd rather be there. I don't know. So anyway, my job is to facilitate and to bring this group together. And when I leave, as leaders and as master teachers, you will continue that facilitation, and you will do the same thing with your folks. Again, I'm going to offer my insights into the discipline of teaching and learning because my background is teaching and learning. I've been a faculty member. This is my 29th year of teaching. So I look way older than I am. I know I look so young, but no, I'm just ancient old man. So I've made every mistake that's possible in the book, made them all. And by sharing my mistakes, hopefully I can prevent you from making yours and help you out there. I will receive teachings from you. And so I will humbly listen, and I will receive the gifts that you have when we share today, when you talk about what you do in your practice and what you do with your students. I have no knowledge of veterinary medicine at all. I have had cats and dogs and fish and birds as pets. So I do not bring any expertise at all in terms of animals. I know equine, bovine, porcine. What are the other signs? Bovine. Canine. Feline. Okay, I know the canine, feline. Okay, are there any other?
Caprine.
Which one's that?
Goat.
Oh, okay. Not a lot of those in Canada. Well, there's more. So, okay. Which other one did I miss? Porcine. Okay. Yes.
That's sufficient, I think.
Buffalo.
Oh, buffalo. Okay. Oh, you have all the sneaky ones that I haven't heard before. That's good. I need a list of those.
But you have taken mozzarella cheese, right? Pizza you take? That is from Buffalo.
Oh, yes. Oh, it's the best. Yes, the best mozzarella comes from water buffalo, right? Yes. Okay, good. Yeah, in Saskatchewan, we have bison. So that we would often refer to that as buffalo, but it is a member of that. I mean, we don't get any kind of cheese.
There's a company, Bubulus.
Okay.
Yeah, that means that's a buffalo.
It's buffalo.
So that's an American company, Bubulus.
Oh.
It rears buffaloes. Yeah. So bison is not Bubulus.
No.
It is our Indian buffalo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which I would call a water buffalo, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, good. See what I'm learning? Thank you. Thank you all. Appreciate it. But that will help me. And when I go in front of my classes and when I teach my classes, I will talk about the wonderful people that I met when I was in India and Gavasu, and I know about all kinds of buffalo things that I didn't even know 5 minutes ago. But that for me models the spirit in which I hope that we are together today, is that we're learning from one another and that we all have the opportunities to share. And we all have the opportunities to give back and forth. Really important to continue to build what I hear and what I know is a strong connection between Gavasu and the University of Calgary, but also USask, because we have a very strong veterinary medicine school there. For the longest time, it was the only one in Western Canada. And people are like, make sure you continue that good connection. Make sure that you invite people to come to visit in Saskatchewan. I won't show you the picture of the snow again, because you'll say, no, I don't want to come to Saskatchewan, but it can be very nice as well. But those things are really important. I know Dr. Singh Baljit is very thrilled to be connected and to have the connections that go on between our universities. And that's one of the reasons why he asked me to come here to provide some different insights. The other thing, and I guess we already showed an example of that, is to build my appreciation of post-secondary veterinary training in India. Again, I don't know a lot, but I am willing to learn. And I think that's, from my perspective, it's really important. All right. So who am I? A lifelong learner. I am always doing something. I have a history degree. I have an education degree. I studied broadcasting. I have a master's of business administration. I have a master's of education. I have an Ed.B. I am currently taking a course where I'm learning to rebuild old cars and do body work and weld them together and do painting and fiberglass repair. I am someone who is very interested in continuing to expand my own learning and to take as much away from life as possible. So I feel that I'm in a very fortunate position to be here today, because it adds to my lifelong learning that I have gone through. I'm very, very thankful to be there. As I mentioned, I am a full professor in the College of Education. I've worked there for a long time, and I have always taught a lot of courses. Even when I was department head and I couldn't find someone to teach a course at the last minute, I'm like, I'll teach that course. It sounds like fun. Last year, I was the vice provost at my university, in charge of all the students, 26,000 students in our university. And yet I was still found time to teach. They didn't pay me because they said, senior leaders we won't pay you. I'm like, I don't care. I still want to teach. Now, I didn't teach a lot of classes, but I was still engaged working with people in the health professions, teaching course for vets and doctors and nurses and dentists and people in what we might call One Health. I think you use the term One Health here as well. So that kind of teaching, very important for me to continue to stay connected. I am that if there is a teaching award to be won, I have won it. So I keep them in a box under a shelf, and I don't have them on to show off or anything like that, because it's kind of embarrassing for me. That's just who I am. But I have been recognized at many different levels for innovation in teaching and leadership and whatnot. So I feel that I must give back. I feel that if I am being recognized, it's only because I've had wonderful students that I've worked with. I have great mentors. I have people that have trained and spent time with me and been very patient with me. And I think that is just something that we do in this world, is that we give back to those people who've given to us. And again, I see a group of people both around the table and in the room who are those kinds of leaders as well, who are interested in giving back. And so I understand, and that's a really important part of who I am. This sounds like I'm teaching a philosophy class. I'm grounded in my evolving sense of self and how it guides me. Whoa, okay, that sounds very theoretical, but it is that I try to be as reflective as possible in my practice, and I am open to criticism. I think critique is a beautiful thing. I think it is important. I think we are sometimes afraid of critique and criticism, But if we don't know, then we blindly go through life assuming that everything we do is right and we don't make mistakes and we never change. So I am always open to that notion of changing and evolving. I used to be a beekeeper too, so that's why I'm not really afraid of bees. But I do have an allergy to them, which I found out when I was a beekeeper.
Yeah, it's,
So
but it's still awesome.
Wasp.
is it a wasp? Oh, it's
Yeah,
even
yellow
worse.
bee.
Oh, it's a yellow jacket? Okay. Yeah, I don't like
Don't-
those either.
Don't worry.
No, okay. Do you have an EpiPen? Do you have something to, yeah, some adrenaline?
I've got cetirizine maybe.
Yeah, okay. We used to carry in our pockets when I was a beekeeper, we used to keep a little package with a syringe with adrenaline in it in the day and you
No,
would,
you won't need adrenaline.
No.
for this.
yeah, okay, good. The other thing is I know that I don't have the answers. And that's as a teacher, and maybe many of you have come to that realization in your lives. The best part of being a teacher is not feeling you have to have the answers all the time. Like, oh, it's ever great. I can go into my classroom and I don't have to be like, oh no, those darn students are going to ask me a question. I'm not going to have the answer and I don't know what I'm going to do. And I'm going to have to, and then I'm going to have to pretend I know and make something up and it's going to be wrong. And then I'm going to have to go back the next day and apologize. Oh, it's going to be horrible. But as long as you can say, I don't know, then life as a teacher is easy.
Yeah.
So let's find out together. Let's get the students to find out. You know, as soon as you can accept the fact that you don't have to have all the answers, then, oh, it's easy. You're almost embarrassed to get a paycheck because everything is easy after that. It's like, oh, nothing to worry about. So that's some of the parts about me that I bring to this. I think I have a slide with a bunch of, oh, okay. Values, also very important to build relationships with my students. So I spend the whole first day and sometimes the first week that I work with students, and I don't do what people would consider teaching. What? How is that even possible? Why aren't you should have an exam on the first day and you should do it. I don't believe that is good for learners. I need to know about my students. And one of the sessions that we go through today, we're going to talk about how do we learn more about our students. I spend the first day just asking people. And then by the next day when we come together, I have memorized every student's name in my classroom. And sometimes I have 80 students in my classes. And when I come in the next day and I say, hello, and I say their name and they are like, what? How could you have done that? Well, I have tricks to do that, but it is really important for me to memorize student names because then they know they're important to me. And then we can have that relationship. And it's not just simply me talking. Although I apologize today, it's a lot of me talking right now. So I'm a little sheepish about that. I think if you are not caring for the people that are in your care as students, or people who are in your care as faculty members in your department, or people who are bringing their animals to the hospital, for example, if you don't have that caring ethic, especially in profession you're in here, then it's going to be really tough. You can be strict and have rules but if you are sticking to rules at the expense of other people, then you're losing that notion of caring. And for me, it's really important. The same way empowerment is important. I don't need to be anything special, but I want everybody around me to feel special. I want to be able to help them and make sure that they can be successful. And that's something that is really a value that I hold well. And the other thing is contributions to my community. And I believe that volunteering is important. I believe that doing work for the sake of helping others, not just for, getting a little cash or whatever out of it, oftentimes that really undermines a strong relationship. So contributing to my community is very important. And I talk about that a lot when I teach. And I ask people, how would you then move this into someone who might not have access to the skills that you have? How do you help them? What is, as a teacher, and those are the people that I work with primarily, how are you making a positive difference in your community outside of the job that you have and the expectations there? So there's some pictures of me. I take a lot of selfies. So it's never hard for me to have a lot of pictures of myself. I am active. You can see in that top corner, I play ice hockey. So I'm the one with the big fat pads on my legs. And that is my son. So we actually played a game together for the first time because he was always too young. I was always his coach, but we never got to play at the same time. So that's an opportunity of having that connection and building those relationships. Me with grad students at Convocation. The one in the top right is me with my welding equipment on. So I've just flipped up my welding mask and I was busy welding car parts together and getting dirty and learning a whole different set of skills. Those of you who are in surgery, right? You need those steady hands, right? It's the same idea when you're welding, you have to be very steady, and something that I have to learn. There's me and my bike. I bike in the wintertime. So when it is minus 40, I put on warmer clothes and I go on my bike and I bike to my work. And if any of you bike and you say you bike in plus 40, I would say that you are crazy. And so if you think that I bike in minus 40, then I can be crazy with you. So yes. How many people, are there other people here that like to bike, cyclists?
Yeah, I think everybody.
Yes, good. Yeah, no snow to go through. So yeah, no ice.
But not as long distance as you do, because we don't have many open spaces.
Oh, yeah, yeah. No, I'm very lucky. My city it's very open to biking, so there's lots of trails. There is me with I'm holding a flag, and the lady who's with me is my provost at my university. And we are at a gridiron football game, and we got to run out onto the field with the players and have a big flag. So it's the opportunity to be connected to your community. And then I also have a picture of me in my classroom, right in the middle there, with some of my students. I can't remember what we were learning that day, but hopefully it was something that was of value to them. So again, just some indications of some of the things I do and how I make those values that I talked about on the previous slide a part of my everyday activity. Research interests. So I am not atheoretical. I do have a program of research. I have funded research. I have a lab. I have grad PhD students that work for me as well. A lot of it is around course design. Online course design is very big. Even before the pandemic, did you all know that we did online courses before the pandemic? Yeah. Not a lot of people knew that we did online learning until there was a pandemic, and then everybody had to go online. So I've been very fortunate to be able to share some of what I've learned with the people who are doing emergency remote teaching as a result of the pandemic. Experiential learning, which is really what all of you are doing a lot of the time, is very important to me. But we don't have a whole or a deep understanding of assessment and experiential learning. So that's something that I am really interested to hear what you do in your practice, because it's something that I study. And then professional development for teachers. I do a lot of that kind of work that all contribute to my program of research. Here are some of the places that I've done workshops. So I work a lot with faculty on my campus, which is really great, because then if I ever need a research co-app or a co-PI on a research grant, I have all these people that I've worked with in the setting. So maybe some of you will be those people as in the future. Maybe there's some research that we can do together. Graduate students are very important because they are the people we are mentoring to take our jobs. They're going to be the ones who have the next generation of universities in their hands, and they're people that we must care for. And so I've done a lot of work with graduate students, helping them learn how to be good teachers. Lots with in-service, because I do work in a college of education. A lot of people who have graduated and have become teachers in our K-12 system will come back, and I'll work with them. I have spent a lot of time in China working with faculty in universities in China, in Beijing in particular. So I've had the opportunity to work with them and to learn about how different cultures interact, how faculty members do things differently. And that, again, has helped my practice immensely. Spain is another country that I've been to a number of times to work with their faculty there to again, just to look at what you're doing. And if you want to do things differently, what are your options? And that's, again, what we're doing today. So I can start to add India to my list of places that I've been and what I've learned from you and what we might do differently. I was a trainer for Apple for about 5 or 6 years as well. So I got to go around the world and work with different schools, universities, places that usually bought a whole bunch of Apple technology, and then they would bring us in as trainers and we would work with people. And so that was really fascinating. A lot of it related to, again, specific technology, but I felt it was important to bring in my background as a teacher, that you don't have to spend a lot of money. You don't have to have the latest, greatest tool and technology. If you do, you can do things with them. But that experience was good working for a corporation like Apple. A very interesting place, very much a cult, very much driven by sales, even though they claim to be an educational company. They just want to sell stuff. That's the bottom line. So I don't do a whole lot of work with Apple anymore. I did as long as I could. But in the end, they're just trying to take money from schools. And after a while, this is all being recorded. After a while, I felt that I needed to do something different with my talents. Okay. So it's time for a little bit of Jay's not going to talk anymore. I would like you to send to me answers to these questions. So I'm going to put my email up on the next slide, but if you want to write these down, and it doesn't have to be a lot, but I need to know about you. I need to learn about you if I'm going to be able to help and figure out some stuff as we go through this. Students, if you want to do this too, I'd be happy to hear from you. Maybe you're all teachers before you decided you want to be vets. I don't know. Maybe you teach cricket lessons. Maybe you do, what else? Are any of you coaches? You teach anything? No? Okay. Then it's easy to answer that second question. But the other ones I think are really important. And you will, as veterinarians, be showing people how to look after their animals, how to do things differently. You will be teachers, even though you will be like, I'm not a teacher, I'm a vet. You will be working, instructing, and it's really interesting to hear from you. You're like, I thought I was just going to sit here, and you're going to make me do work, Jay, darn it. And then after everybody has kind of set that down, I'll put my email address on, and then we'll take a bit of a break because I've been talking too much.
You can save that. That is also filtered.
Yes.
This is also.
Oh, that is as well? Okay, I wasn't
Yeah.
sure.
Don't worry.
That's what everybody was like, don't drink water. Let me go to India. I'm like, I have to drink water. It's gonna be hot. Okay. Did you get those questions down? Good. Okay. There's my email address.
Yeah.
And it's just about 11.
It's 12.
What?
Oh my God.
11 started.
So we were supposed to have tea at 11, right? Sorry. I'll figure this out. I promise that tomorrow I'll have everything sorted out and we can take a break. So if you've got those questions written down, you can email me the answers to them. I would like us to talk a bit about them when we start to look at teacher identity. And again, that was supposed to be in the afternoon. We may get to it in the afternoon. We may get to it this morning. There. Take a break. Stand up, walk around. I don't know the protocol, but like, I keep looking at you for,
That's fine.
you guys want a break?
Yeah.
No? Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Somebody needs a break. I need a break. I'm just like hooking up here, so.
पेज निकलवाने वो लगा के सारा कुछ लिखना दूसरे
That you folks are all here because I know how busy you are, and we had some discussion about all that is going on in your worlds right now, and it is, yeah, it's a busy life that you lead, and I'm familiar with that, and again, I will try to get us through as much of this as possible, knowing that you have clinical rotations to think about and reports to write and budgets to prepare and all those agriculture gatherings and just fascinating stuff that you are doing with your community and the community outreach. That's just amazing. I think there we go. So what lies ahead? That's a lake that I fish on quite a bit. So that's some more Canadian wilderness. I thought I would bring some in. I take pictures everywhere I go so that I can use my own photographs when I do presentations. So that's actually my little brother driving the boat, and we are just out catching the pike or jackfish or whatever you want to call them. And again, beautiful wilderness in the summertime, so no snow. So that's what it would look like in July or August. And yeah, I do hope that each of you has the opportunity to visit Saskatchewan, because it's an amazing place to come and to learn about what we do the same and what we do differently, and it helps us out. So what lies ahead? Well, I've talked a bit about the themes. So today is the Teacher Identity Day, and we're going to get into some of that stuff right away because I get to go on a tour. I thought I was going to be with you till like 9 o'clock tonight. I had this beautiful schedule all laid out, and then the dean was like, "No, we finish work at 5." I'm like, okay, beauty. So that means that I had a bunch of other sessions that we're not going to do. So they're all going to happen from 9 to 5. That's what we said, right? 9 to 5. Don't work weekends. I'm like, what kind of faculty are you? I thought we worked 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. You probably all are working more than just 9 to 5 if you are running your departments. I said, again, assessment tomorrow, and then curriculum mapping. Each of these I put together just a brief discussion around. So this is what we're going to get to pretty soon. The idea of just who you are as people and how that impacts what you do as teachers. I've got a couple of tools I want to introduce you to that you can use with your own faculty, and ways that you can start to reflect on what's going on. Again, the opportunity to be a reflective practitioner or a teacher scholar, some of these terminologies maybe you've heard before, those are all what make you different than just someone who is knowledgeable in the area of veterinary medicine working at a university. When you start to actually think about how well you're doing things and who you are in that process, that identity really can ramp you up, and the people that you work with can really ramp up as you excel. So we're going to talk about that today. Assessment, I mentioned a little bit about this. I teach assessment every year in every class I teach, and people are like, I've seen this from you before, I've heard this message, and I'm like, I'm going to tell you again. So I'm going to go through some things that maybe you have heard. I'm not sure where you get traditional wisdom from in India, but in Canada, we have an evolving and sometimes confusing relationship with our Indigenous people in Canada, but we have worked to strengthen that. We have worked to try to right some of the many wrongs that have happened with colonialism. I know that India has their own history with colonialism as well. But as a part of that, what we are able to do is to work with elders. And so an elder is someone who is recognized by their Indigenous constituents, the people in their First Nation or the reserve or their band or whatever, and someone who has seen a lot, done a lot, and is entrusted with a lot of knowledge. And often when we have elders come into our environment, they never have a time limit, so they can talk as long as they want, and we will sit there And for people who don't understand or aren't comfortable with it, they will be like, I heard this before. Why is this? And I used to be one of those people for a long time. It's like, this is a really lovely person. You're a lovely person as well. Thank you. But I've heard this story before. And why am I hearing it again? And then one of the elders that I'm lucky enough to spend time with said, the reason why we tell the same stories over and over again is because they're important. And for me, that was just a seminal moment. It was a threshold that I had crossed over that I hadn't thought about before. And the way that especially oral cultures carry on their traditions and share what they are doing is by telling stories and telling the same stories over again. And that what made me think of that is that whole notion of assessment. I've heard about assessment. I talk about assessment all the time. Why do I do that? Because it's important and it's part of what we do as educators to think about it, not just as we introduce it to other people, but because it's a part of our practice and we have to be reminded, because sometimes it's really easy to do one form of assessment all the time. So that's why, again, I will take you down to a road that maybe you have traveled down before, and you may say, well, it takes more time and it's less efficient. But we're going to talk about why that particular kind of assessment is good. And I just wanted to share with you why I think that hearing stories are helpful. And I am by no means an elder, but I have learned to interact with people who have wisdom and knowledge that I do not possess, and why it is important to be continually exposed to that. And that's something that I talk to my students about as well. And they may say, well, you taught me this class 2 years ago, and now we're going back to this again. I'm like, yeah. Do you have it figured out? No. Well, that's why I'm doing it again, because I want you to be successful. And I want you to understand why, as a discipline or as a field or whatever term you use, why it's important for us to do that.
Actually, in India also, we do interact with our elders,
Okay.
like say grandfather or grandmother. But of late, the system we have become more busy. So the kids, they have got lesser time. But I would say what you are saying is correct, because we learn a lot from our elders, from their experiences. You cannot have all the experiences in one lifetime. So you have to learn from others' experience. So that way, listening to elders is quite important.
Yeah.
And we have in our culture that kind.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. And I
But
think,
that is slowly, vanishing.
yeah. And that's maybe where when I came to this, I was like, oh, I have this to do. I have this to do. I can't sit and listen to the same message. And then someone took me aside and said, the most important thing is for you to listen to this message and to not worry about those other things that are going on. And again, when we are instructing, that's something that maybe when we pull our students aside and let them know, then they can be more successful. So this is why we're giving free TB vaccinations, not just because we want to vaccinate the farmers, but so we can build relationships, so we can practice those skills, and that was just an example that was shared with me during the break that it's tuberculosis that you're, right? Was that what you said, TB? No.
Brucellosis. I said brucellosis.
Oh, okay.
TB is another one.
Okay, sorry, I apologize. I got my osises mixed up. So
That's fine.
Yeah.
The tuberculosis is also zoonotic one, so
Yeah.
that can also be transmitted from animals to humans.
okay, yeah.
But I talked about brucellosis.
Okay, good. Thank you. So tomorrow we're also going to take a look at some different tools and again, the practical aspects of that once we've talked about some of the theory. The curriculum mapping, again, a chance to advance the current project that's going on here so that you can speak to it and go, okay, this is what I can expect. This is where I can help. This is where I can get people in my department to contribute and be successful. And course design, if we've gone through those other components of good instruction, the course design often just happens. If we know what our learning outcomes are, if we know how we're going to assess them, then we can do all kinds of really exciting and interesting things with our students. And I'm going to expose you to a bunch of different ways that you could teach, and you can see if like, oh, I already do that, or oh, that's something I would like to try, and we can talk about it in a group, and maybe there's ways that we can support one another in terms of using some creative ways of building courses. Teaching strategy is the same thing. How are different ways that you are doing it, and are you just doing it because of tradition? Do you know the book or the movie Fiddler on the Roof? Have you ever heard of that
Yeah,
before?
I've seen it.
Anybody seen that?
Yeah.
It's a Jewish kind of tale. It's a movie. It's like 4 hours long, so it's very long.
It's an old movie.
It's very old. Yeah, it's well old.
I-
It's from the 60s. Old like me.
Yeah,
from the
I
60s.
saw it in
Okay,
when I was
yeah.
in class
Yeah.
say 7 maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
And one of the songs they have in there, or one of the themes they talk about is why they do the things they do. And it's tradition. There's no other reason why we carry on a lot of the practices that we do, except that, well, the people before us did that, and the people before them did that. And it's just tradition. So I will often yell out if I'm watching someone teach, because I do a lot of teaching observations. I don't yell it out, but sometimes I will go, tradition, like they do in this Fiddler on the Roof movie. Anyway, we're going to try to break out of some of that tradition and look at some of the different ways that you may want to teach your classes differently, or things that you have considered and have failed miserably. And you can tell everyone around the table, I tried that. Don't do that. It doesn't work. Stick with tradition. Sometimes tradition is good, but sometimes it's good to break out of it and do other things. And it's really important, students. You're just collectively students. I just go talk to you as one group, like you're one pod. It's important for you to push your instructors. So rather than allow them to do things just based on tradition, if you've seen something, you know something that maybe works better for you, it's okay to have a conversation, a respectful conversation about, can we try something that maybe is more in tune with what's going on, maybe leverages something different. I have learned so much from my students over the years, as well as my colleagues, and I will often give them the credit for making those changes that I was unable to see, because either I'm too busy report writing and getting all these other things done to be as engaged in some of the revisions and some of those updated ways of instruction. So there's my student. There's another student challenge I'm issuing the 6 of you. And then student engagement. And there's nothing more frustrating than building a really good opportunity to learn, but you don't present it in a way where students are excited about it, or they don't get worked up or really deeply engaged in what's going on. So we're going to talk about some of the ways that you can do that as well, because I know that as knowledgeable, experienced instructors, you can put together good courses and good classes and good experiences. But if it's lost on the students and they don't realize why they're doing it, then it's really tough to have that maximum benefit and to get them as excited about it as you are. And then on the last day, curriculum mapping with my 2 colleagues up the front here, and they're just going to knock your socks off with their presentation. Yeah, okay, look at the enthusiasm. Okay, plenty of enthusiasm. And then finally, the notion of doing scholarship of teaching and learning. And I'm actually going to have each one of you come up with a topic that you may choose as a part of your research program at the end of that particular session. So we're going to work through it. We're going to think about something that is not necessarily discipline-specific research, but something that when you leave your classroom, you go, oh, I wish I knew more about that. Or there's something, I talk about the tummy test. I don't know if you know about the tummy test. You almost smiled. Okay, good. The tummy test is when something, you know it's not quite right, but you're not sure why. You don't have the data, or you don't have the
Gut feeling.
Gut feeling, the intuition, that idea. So I call it the tummy test because it's a little less formal. But tummy tests are really good when it comes to teaching, because you're like, oh, you know, I'm so close to having a perfect explanation of that concept and to have students put it into practice, but there's something about it that's not quite right. So what can I do about that? And the scholarship of teaching and learning allows us to take that gut feeling, that tummy test, that intrinsic built-in reaction to what's going on. And there's actually a process for you to be able to unpack some of the things that are going on in your classroom. And I find it a very fascinating way of working with my own research, and we'll get to that on. That'll be our swan song. We will march out of here, our heads held high, smiling and laughing and ready to go. Or maybe you'll be taking me down to the train station, wrapped up in rope and tape, and you'll throw me on a train and never pass me back. Anyway, that's how we're going to finish up our 5 days together. This is what I'm hoping from each one of you, that you come with a willingness to engage. I've already seen that, so I'm not worried at all. Really pleased with. I don't like that I've been doing a lot of talking, but you are interested in what's going on, or at least you're really good actors. And so that's awesome. I want you to be able to share your stories because they are really valuable and really important. What you are doing, how the European cattle herd has destroyed the indigenous cattle herd in India, why it's a lot of work and why you schedule your interactions with your local farmers and agriculture producers to fit in with their rhythm of the year so they can get their crops in or they can get their harvest done or those types of things. Those are the stories that make meaning and give friction to ideas. If something is too smooth, you never stop, it never catches, it just slides on by. But when you tell your stories, you have that friction. It slows down. You think about things in a different way and you're able to remember them differently as well. And I think that's really good. I do want you to ask questions, and I appreciate, like, just stop me if you're like, I don't understand, please do that. You have to laugh at my bad jokes, or at least pretend. And if you're just nodding and smiling, good, I'll just carry on. So you've already been subjected to enough of them, so I'll see what I can do. But humor is really important to me, the chance to be together. I have noticed though, when I go to some cultures, my humor is not as easily understood. So if I tell a joke and I'm like, nobody got it, you can explain to me that, Jay, in our culture, that makes no sense. Or you've just insulted every single one of us. And I'm like, oh no, I hope I haven't done that. But I do hope to inject some humor and some fun into what we're doing. If you have a course syllabus after today, so a class that you are teaching, would you please bring at least one of your course syllabi to these next sessions? Because I want you to look at them and go, that's a teaching strategy. That's my assessment. That's what I'm going to change. I want you to have a practical connection to what you do. And if you have more than one that you want to bring, that's fine. But that allows you to take what we're sharing and you're able to actually look at it and go, oh, that's why, that's what's going on. So please do that after today. I'll maybe send out an email to remind you just so you've got one. It doesn't have to be on a piece of paper. It can be electronic, whatever you do. And if you have assessment materials as well, so if you have a final exam that you like to use, or an observation checklist, or a rubric, or anything like that, that you're maybe particularly proud of, or that you use a lot, bring that too. And when we talk about assessment, it'd be really great for you to be able to show and share and look at what you're doing in a context where you're going to use it again. Because I could hand out pretend practice materials, but you're not going to take that back and use it in your own courses. So does that sound okay? This is a chance to nod and smile. Good. Okay. Right. All right. Okay. I think everybody's still with me. And then anything else that you're really proud of. I know how long it takes to make a really good final exam. And I've had final exams where I bring them and I show them off because I'm so proud of them. It took me 5 years and they're valid and reliable and I use it all the time now in that particular course. But if you have anything like that, or something that you have created that works really well, maybe it's some form of assessment, by all means bring it, and you will have every opportunity to share it and show it and talk about it, because there's a lot of work that goes into creating them. So really the last couple are the actual tangible things that I'm asking you or I'm inviting you to bring. But the rest is if you show up, you should have it. Okay. Thoughts so far?
Fantastic.
Good. Check in. Students? Good. All good? I don't want this to be a colossal waste of time for you as students, because you're like, well, this is supposed to be for faculty, but I do want you to hopefully learn and share. And if you have questions, please stop and ask. Okay?
We will now be changing to our second PowerPoint. Our second PowerPoint.
Second PowerPoint. Glass.
Yeah,
Air official colors.
yes, this is official. So does it make the tea taste better?
Yeah.
Does, yeah. I don't believe you, but it was a very quick response, so
No, no,
it's
no.
good.
No. If you taste in a paper cup,
Oh, yeah.
it is a lot different,
Yeah.
lot better than that, because that has got paraffin, I think,
Yes.
inside.
Did you get it? Yeah, second presentation. I saw it there it's in your email. Okay, what bird was so noisy first thing in the morning? Like 6 o'clock
Hmm.
when I was sleeping. Is that just like, is that a crow?
Yeah.
Is it?
Bro.
It's a black one.
Could be.
Yeah.
It was dark. I didn't see.
Yes,
Very irritating voice.
Oh, it was irritating. It
Yeah.
sounded like there were 500 of them outside my window this morning.
The pigeons also.
Yeah.
No, if the voice is soothing, then it's another bird.
Yes.
If it is hoarse, then it's another bird.
Okay.
If it is killer voice, then it might be some other type of.
So it sounded like 20 different birds all together.
Mostly they're
It
pigeons.
might be pigeons,
Yeah.
crows,
I think it's crows.
parrots,
Parrots.
You have
yeah, and quails,
Cuckoo bird.
cuckoo birds.
Oh, okay.
But that is very rare,
Yes,
but that's very sweet.
yes. This was not sweet.
Okay, then.
This was not bone china of birds. It was paper cups. of birds. So,
And it's a crow, then
Yeah, cool.
yeah,
crow. Crow is very
Yeah.
irritating.
yes. So that's what I heard this morning. And it wasn't even light out. It's like, I understand why birds are noisy when the light is out. but-
They're early risers.
Yeah. Very early.
We've got Siberian cranes also actually in winter.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
मैना भी हो सकता है।
They're really big
मैना
birds.
बहुत आपने-
TTRE view.
But for that you need to come in December.
Okay.
Because it is minus 40 in Russia.
Yeah.
And they come here.
Oh, they migrate.
Right in the
Yeah.
fields.
So they hide behind the mountains.
No,
It's
no.
nice and warm here.
They just,
Yes.
they travel maybe 2,000 miles.
उधर root garden है ना,
That looks right.
सुबह
I think we're good.
parrots और शाम को daily migrate करते हैं वहाँ। You can see- हाँ जी हाँ जी।
Okay, I think we're ready. I'm ready. You're on the phone, but you're good. Okay, who's he talking to?
Yeah, multitasking.
He's ordering lunch, I think. What's
Yeah.
going on?
It's
Okay,
lunchtime.
yeah.
Yeah.
So this next section is about obviously exploring identity, as it says on the screen. Try to make it as clear as possible. And this is a chance for you to start thinking about yourself. And I haven't checked my email to see if you sent me the responses to those questions, but these are things that will help me understand more about you, but they'll also help you understand yourself better.
Hmm.
So if you haven't taken the time to respond, I hope that you would at some point in time, but I may just ask a couple of people if they don't mind sharing a response to one or more of these questions on the screen, just so that we can start thinking about ourselves as people,
Hmm.
first and foremost.
Yeah.
the worst thing you can do as a teacher is turn yourself into a robot
Yeah.
or a teaching machine or someone that doesn't use their head and their heart and their hands all together, but it's just basically reading a script and being very mechanical.
Mhm.
So if I'm able to, and I would be happy if someone would
Mhm.
share with me the response to the first question in terms of who are you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know whether I'm there, but I just want to be a good human being, trying to make this earth a better place to live in whatever way possible. That's all.
Fabulous.
That's my aim.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else have a response that they want to share?
It can be in bullet form,
Sure.
learner, believer,
Learner and believer,
hard worker. Three categories.
hard worker.
Yeah,
Love it.
Perfect.
Good. Thank you, Will. Anybody else?
No, I'm a learner. That's all.
Yeah.
Always a learner.
Always a learner. Good. You like me? And don't know when to quit? Yeah.
Learner.
Yeah.
Again, I'm learner.
Yes, that's great. Now, for the three of you, and thank you for sharing, I appreciate kicking this part off. Was it, or for anybody else, was it easy to answer that first question?
Yeah. Yeah, for me,
Yeah, no, maybe?
yeah, it was easy.
Okay. Did anybody struggle with that?
No, actually, that took me maybe maybe 2 decades to find out what I am.
Aha.
So that,
So it was easy to write it down,
but not easy to,
yeah, to make sense of. So over time, so when you are a bright, wide-eyed, happy undergrad student, someone asks you who you are, you might say your name, right? Because you haven't taken that time to reflect. Whereas the rest of us in the room who have maybe had more opportunities to question who we are and to think about, you go a little bit deeper and you start to look for attributes and discussions. And that is really important. And those are the transitions that we're trying to make when we're looking for teacher identity, that ability to be able to see yourself besides, this is how tall I am, this is the color of my hair, this, like those kinds of things. And often people will respond in that manner, but as teachers, we want to look deeper, we want to get below that. So here's maybe a simpler question for people. What is your teaching background? Or teacher training?
Parents,
Okay,
advisors, fellow colleagues.
okay, good. So maybe a lot of informal teacher training?
Because both my parents are teachers.
Oh, there you go. I always, on my first day of class, I teach a lot of brand new teachers to be, and I say, okay, how many people here are going to be teachers because their parents are teachers, and they put their hands up, and it's usually about half the class, like a lot of people whose parents are teachers. And I said, of those people who put their hands up, how many of them said you would never be a teacher? And all of them leave their hands up. He said there's no way that they ever wanted to be a teacher, but it happens anyway. Yeah. So informally, that's what's brought you to this. What other experiences have people had in terms of teacher training background? Anything?
No, so probably I think like the owners of the pets,
Oh,
owners of the animals, they are very good teachers. They give us a lot of information which you will not find in the literature, you will not find in the books. So in their local language, with their experiences, they are also very good teachers for us as a clinician.
yes, that's fantastic. Wow. That's in any case, when you're interacting with people who have that experience, yeah, absolutely. Great suggestion. Other thoughts?
No formal training.
No formal training? Okay. Would that be everybody here who's had no formal training?
Just we are doing and learning.
Yeah. And yet you are entrusted with a really important job. You are training an entire generation of people who the livelihood of states and countries depend on the work that you do. And some people might say, well, I'm not going to get in an airplane and fly an airplane without knowing how to fly an airplane. But that's essentially what a lot of people who work at universities do. They are knowledgeable or skilled in a particular area, or they're really good researchers, but they are put into a position where they don't have that formal training.
But about our teaching, our students give feedback.
Yes. Okay,
And
so, yeah,
that feedback that can be direct in the class, that can be indirectly from other sources, from other teachers also, from senior fellows. And that feedback gives us a good motivation that yes, you are doing in a good way or not doing. You need to improve. You are okay.
And sometimes that can be accurate, it can be inaccurate also.
Inaccurate
Yes.
also.
Oh, yeah. If someone doesn't like you,
Yeah.
Yes.
or if you're female, student evaluations, there is all kinds of research that say if you are chatty, smiley, funny male, your course evaluations are going to be great. If you're a female, right off the bat, you are already experiencing lower scores just because of that, just because of the perception or the difference in way genders are perceived. Yes. So a lot of universities are trying to get away from those assessments. So in terms of learning, like I thought that was a great kickoff. We learned from our parents, our mentors, the people, our colleagues,
Seniors.
people we work with, our elders, right? The students that we have a chance to work with, but all of that is very informal. And oftentimes you have to be clever enough. That's why I loved your answer. You were clever enough to recognize that I'm not coming to someone's farm as the expert. I'm coming to work with you. Let's solve a problem together. And oftentimes when people do formal teacher training, it makes them think that they're suddenly better than the people they're working with, or they're an expert, or that don't question what I do because I have. And so in some ways, it's really good that people start at kind of a grassroots way. But there are lots of things and processes that we can use to help us with our identity from formal teacher training. And that's where, again, what we're trying to do with these academies is try to help you a little bit and expose you to some of those things that maybe aren't a part of what's going on in your life. What for the next question? What are someone want to share? Maybe someone who hasn't shared yet. What do you hope to learn during these 5 days that we're together? What did you write down?
You answered it.
What's that?
You answered.
I answered it already, did I? Okay. A little more formal instruction. Yeah. Well, I said before, I don't claim to have all the answers, so I'm sure someone came up with a better response than mine. Any thoughts about this? People hope?
I think how we can better engage the students in the class.
Okay, so student engagement, good.
Just how to inspire the students, because a good teacher should inspire so that he interacts with you and asks you questions.
Yeah. Good.
How to clearly and precisely assess the students.
Yeah.
And second is how can we improve in curriculum mapping?
Yeah,
This is what I think I should learn.
yeah, good.
And it should be very fair.
Yes,
How you are doing in Saskatchewan, how we are doing in Gadwas may be different.
Yeah.
So we are saying same things, we are doing differently.
yes, yeah. Thank you. That's a really important thing to recognize. Other thoughts? I'm looking forward to getting back to my email and reading everything that you've emailed me. Students? Anybody want to represent the students who want to speak to this? What do you hope to learn? Clearly, I'm not inspiring them. Anybody want to share? Okay, which one was it? Which one was already answered?
Yes, we learn from our teachers and adults.
Okay.
Teachers have played an important role in our life. We learn a lot of things here because of our teachers.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Anyone else? Teacup girl, you're not making any eye contact. She's not going to make any eye contact at all. I'll call you teacup girl because I can just see the teacup on your answers. Good. Well, again, I know you've all emailed me your answers to this, and I look forward to seeing. The last one, I think, is talking a bit about your motivation. So would someone like to share their response to that last question? Like, why is it important? Because you you probably have, like, you have tenure, right? Everybody here have tenure?
Mhm.
There's a couple, I know there's a couple of
Most of
professors.
them.
Okay,
All
right?
of them rather.
So once you get tenure, you don't have to be better. You don't have to work hard.
But then we have got our duty towards society. We can shape a better society.
Yes.
So that's lifelong objective to keep on improvising yourself so that you can give better doctors to the society.
Happiness. So that's why you want to be a better instructor, so that your students.
Exactly,
Yeah.
clinical.
Yeah.
Although I'm a paraclinician, but I like to work with clinicians
Yeah.
and learn.
They're good people too.
Pardon?
Clinicians, they're good people too, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I would say.
Most of them.
We don't want to, yeah, okay, good. We'll qualify that. Hey?
Because our country needs, more of clinical approach.
Yes.
And we are more embedded in the theory part of it. So I want to just, have more of practical aspects. So that we can produce better doctors.
Thank you. Any other thoughts for that last question? What did anybody write down something they wish to share? You notice I put better instructor or learner, so I do have an opportunity for the students to comment on this one. as
It's
well.
just to justify your job also.
Justify your job, yeah. Because you want to be
And
growing.
get the feeling that, okay, you have done something today.
Yes.
So that's the main thing that we want to improve and want to be. Or you can just justify the responsibilities that are shed on your shoulders. It's a simple answer.
No, but it's true. That, and there is a significant responsibility on you, right? For the well-being of, entire herds, entire species, all kinds of things like that. Excellent. Well, thank you. That was kind of our first kickoff to talking. Okay. Critical event in your life as a student. So I'm going to give you about 30 seconds and I want you to think, oh, no, go ahead.
Yeah, the first class I attended in pharmacology.
Yeah.
Very first in the third year.
Okay.
Yeah.
There. Now you're going to stop. You're going to tell that in 2 minutes. But I want everybody to think about this first. You're very sharp, right? He's ready to go. Must be a paraclinician.
Here most of us.
Yes. So I want the rest of you to think about a critical moment, and it was set up almost beautifully, but I'm going to let you hold on to the last part of this. But think about when you were a student. Oftentimes, we took a class from someone, or something happened in our learning journey that made us feel that we wanted to be a teacher. So I'm going to give you 30 seconds just to think about that in your minds. Think about something that happened to you as a student. It was a critical event in your life. All right, now what I want you to do is to turn to your elbow partner. So your elbow partner is the person beside you.
Mhm.
And I want you to share that experience with your elbow partner. So I think we've got elbow partners there. We've got elbow partners. You guys have elbow partners. So I want you to just tell that person beside you about that critical event in your life as a student. Okay. You two are elbow partners. Okay, you can share.
Whether it is a bachelor, master.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, it can be at any time. I just want you to share with that person beside you.
अपने को तो बहुत है
तो मैं तो टीचर भी कह गया ना
कोई नहीं मैं तो मेरे को तो बहुत है
Teachers and this never happened.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time's up. All right. The worst part of being a teacher is when you finally give people a chance to talk and they're talking and they're enjoying themselves, and then you have to interrupt them. And I will always tell people that they have a minute, and then I have really no idea how long it's been, but then I'll do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then we're done. And they assume, oh, is that a minute already? But I have no idea how long it was. So there's a trade secret that I'm sharing with you. So you never really have to time a discussion. You just have to know when you want the last 5 seconds to be, and then you can wrap it up. All right. Who would like to share from their discussion about a critical event in your life as a student?
Yeah.
Sir.
Yeah, the very first class in third year I had with pharmacology, I decided that I'll be a pharmacologist because it gives you knowledge about all the clinical subjects. All the clinical subjects, they are based on their knowledge of drugs. So it is an intersection of paraclinical and clinical subjects. And the same is basically for him because he had many domestic animals and they had problems during calving. So he wanted to be a gynecologist. Very first moment he entered gynecology, so he decided. So I think because in the first, I told you our curriculum has got more of theory. So in the first 2 years, I was just kind of bored with that we are going nowhere. There's hardly any translation into practical aspects. So pharmacology came as a breath of fresh air. So I decided that day, very first class.
So it was the content.
The way the teacher taught me, he was former dean of this college.
Okay. Yeah.
And the way he taught and discussed about the scope of pharmacology, its fundamentals, that turned me on. Yeah. It was sort of breath of fresh air because the first 2 years, they were all theoretical only. So that gave me a feeling of that, yeah, that's something like a doctor.
Yeah. What a wonderful thing to have happen. And as an instructor, what a tremendous responsibility to make sure that you're providing that experience for people, that opportunity to find a passion. Now, yours came from.
Yes, I'm son of a farmer. I have animals now. I'm also having animals at my home.
Oh, wonderful.
And I belong to village. So the problem, but I know from basic that gynecological problems, they are more there. So and the teacher of gynecology who taught me or who taught us, he was a very good teacher. He just took 20-25 classes, I know.
Wow.
And I'm a good notes maker. People used to read my notes. And now even I left my college in 2017, still my notes are running there.
That's impressive.
Yes, so just in 19, 20, 25 lectures, I think. But he taught to us that was very crispy. But when we read, that was too much of knowledge. And it was very interesting to know that in very interesting way, in small lecture of 40 minutes, 35 minutes, he taught to us and just simply things, this is happening, this is happening. And then when we read that notes, that was quite knowledgeable. Too many data, too much data was there. So that gave a good inspiration that yes, you could be like that.
Good. Awesome. Thank you. I'll go to the.
Actually, my experience relates to high school.
Okay.
We had a professor of English there. There's a place called Jalandhar nearby to Ludhiana. I was studying there. So that teacher actually, English is not a very important subject when we look at to enter any university in our system. But we used to attend his classes regularly, so that because he has a leftist sort of orientation. But his command over both our language, that is English and Punjabi, was such that we used to attend his classes just to listen what he says. So that inspired me very much.
Yeah, good, fabulous. What a great story.
Probably this was an incident when I was doing internship.
Okay.
Internship program, and me and my friend, we were staying in the hostel, and there was one stray dog. that used to come to us and we used to feed that dog, and dog was quite loyal to us. So when we used to go to for the internship, and when we come back, every time like he used to wave his tail and comes to us. And so one day we came and he was not putting the weight on the front leg, right front leg, and it was dragging, and even probably we checked it, and that leg was not having any sensation. And then we took this dog to our hospital, and there was one surgeon, Dr. Miracle is there. So he examined everything, and then he came to the diagnosis that this dog is having a brachial plexus avulsion. So, and he's a very good teacher, and that gave me a very good impression that now I will go to the surgery department, then I'll go to the teaching. So ultimately we amputated because that gangrene started developing from in the leg, and ultimately the dog started eating his own leg. So because there was no sensation.
Yeah.
So amputation was done, and that dog survived for another 6 years after that.
Wow.
So that incident that then I thought like I should teach to the student and tell them how to diagnose, how to go for surgery, and what can be the differential diagnosis. So this is how I.
And put yourself in the position of not only a student, but the people that you will work with.
Yeah.
So the clients that you'll have and the people who will come to you and they're,
So
upset.
I was not like, before that I was not having any plan to go for masters. I was thinking that I will go to the field. I said either I'll go to the government job, I'll set one, or I'll set one private clinic. But after that incident, I thought no, I'll go to the masters, especially in the surgery, and then I'll go for teaching.
Great. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yes, for me, like whatever position I am here, so it is all because of my guide, my mentor at IBRA. And she is the one who stood beside me at every stage. Like I went for MBSc, and in MBSc, research was very easy going for me. It was very easy going for me without any hassle. But when I entered PhD, in fact, she inspired me to continue PhD at a stage also, so that you will be getting a good academics and you will be getting good research institutions, academic colleges like that. Like during PhD, I thought like MBSc, it will also go like this. Results will come easily like that. I mean MBSc, but in PhD, it was completely reversed. I think I did not get my result for 4 months, and I was every day looking at the gel. I am finding my product there, whether it is coming or not. I used to think that my product should come soon, and I have to wind up also, and I have to get back to my home also. But every day she will be beside me and will tell me all the time that keep patience, the results will be coming. So keep patience, the results will be coming, it will come like that. So 4 months completed, but at last I got my result, and I was thankful to her. She was beside me. But when I realized what a teacher is or what a guide is, and certain other position, when my lab junior was not getting the result, and I was beside him, and I was the same way. I was confronting him that wait, have patience, you will also getting your result. So at that time, I realized that research or being a guide, being a teacher, how important is this for a fellow person? You can guide your students in a better way. You can give them hope. You can give them future ideas, which line you have to choose and which line you have to go, which is good for you, bad for you. And at that time, I realized I should be in that position. So then I came for this teaching line, and it's continuing.
Wonderful. What a great story. And that realization how you've evolved into the position of the person that you used to look up to, and now you're that person. Good for you. Thank you for sharing. Yeah.
So actually, our subject is very related to the statistics and somewhat mathematical type things are there. And most of the students are afraid with the mathematics, especially biology students. So
Wait a second. Right?
Yes.
Okay, good. Checking.
So when the veterinary background or any in this field, they think like we are here to go away from the mathematics. But in our subject, without mathematics, without calculation, we can't go in the depth of the subject. So, sir, when I was in my PhD first year, just completed my master, I joined NDRI Karnal. There was one of my teacher, Dr. A.K. Chakravarti. He inspires all the students, and he is a really very good teacher in biometrical techniques. So that time we were also in that same stage that how can we do all the biometrical things? And it's very difficult. How can we perform all these things? But sir, that time, sir inspired all the students, and he always motivated, always inspired all the students that if you want to do, if you have the courage to do, definitely you can do like this. So, sir, such teachers should be there, and I inspired a lot because of his hard work he put on all of the students. So, sir, I want to be a teacher like him, and he inspired me a lot.
It's wonderful. Thank you for sharing. And math, right? Everybody tried to avoid it, but just embrace it and love it. It will help you in the end. Good. All right, sir.
So nothing has happened like if somebody means motivated me to be a teacher. But however, means I am fortunate that my teachers were so good. Means I was inspired by them. But the motto or the motive of my life was not to be a teacher. However, would like to be a medical professional. Somehow comes here in veterinary sciences. And when I started my bachelor's program, undergrad program, I am fortunate, means I am lucky that my teacher was super good. The way they teach means that inspired me. Then I did my master's from here. Again, my supervisor was super nice, and he used to go with me everywhere if I have problem to find out some stuff. And then when I did my PhD again, my supervisor, she helped me a lot. Those things, they inspired me, but it was not like that means inspired me to be a teacher. But when I became a teacher, then I used those qualities of those teachers to inculcate me so that I could be a good teacher, and still trying or learning to be that. Yeah. And there's nothing like which picked me like, okay, I will be a teacher sometime in my life. No.
But it's gotten you there. And you talk about the investment that people have made in you and the fact that you
Definitely.
recognize that. I think that's, as many other people have shared, that when we recognize that, then we also see how that's impacted us and how much further we've gone because of other people's investments. Good. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yes, sir.
Critical point. I'm still thinking.
Yeah.
I think when I entered into my post-graduation,
Okay.
I was never planning to it. It's after graduation and post-graduation is there.
Yeah.
I was never planning. And when I went there, the ambience was good. So I like that ambience and I'm continuing.
Yeah.
And I'm still continuing.
Yeah.
In that field.
So
Labs. Laboratories, infrastructure I liked.
Yeah.
So those persons definitely who are maintaining, definitely I was really after them that if they can maintain this infrastructure, if they can run these instruments, I can probably also learn from them. So all this collective type of thing. And from there, I thought that I should work into these type of laboratories.
So you were able to identify how that connected with your sense of self.
Yes.
And how that was
A bit.
something that fit.
Yes, I think.
Because sometimes we go, oh, that'd be really great to do, but it's not a match for who we are.
Exactly.
And when we figure that out, then it allows us to,
Yes, that is true.
to easily go down that road.
Yes, that is true. Because you don't really means mind is very fluctuating. You like every technique, like ultrasonography in gynecology, particularly when you go for diagnosis of pregnancy diagnosis in horses. So it's a very good field of earning. When you earn a lot, pregnancy diagnosis with the help of ultrasonography. Nowadays, it is very common.
Yeah.
When I was studying, it was not common. USG machines were not that common. But that particular point of time, you have to decide that which particular field, which particular instruments, which particular teachers, which particular lab is inspiring you that you can work here. That is the critical point, I can say.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Actually, I am the one, sir, here who did my BVSC from this very university.
Oh.
Though at that time it was a PAU, Punjab Agricultural University. And I was fortunate enough, now I am serving here also. So I have seen a lot of transition, right from this infrastructure to the teaching methodologies. In my bachelor's, though I can name the best teacher in every department, if you ask, but there were 3 teachers that inspired me. First was Dr. S.P.S. Sodhi. He was in physiology department. He was a disciplined guy. He taught me to, I imbibed from him the quality of discipline. They are sitting here at my bag. You can see them. If anybody is 5 minutes late, I don't allow them to enter my class. They can take the attendance. It's my rule. That's something. Second teacher was Dr. P. N. Dwivedi. He is in microbiology. He is an excellent teacher, a wonderful orator. And he will make the so-called boring paraclinical things very much interesting. Because if you want to go from A to C, there comes a B inside. So if you want to go clinics, paraclinical subjects are the backbone of this profession. Means in field when they will go, they will find 2 problems: repeat breeding, animal not coming to heat, animal suffering more from the vector-borne diseases. They are parasitic in nature. So third teacher was Dr. Jagir Singh. He was a gynecologist. Again, a wonderful teacher. He used to teach us the andrology course. And he will use both English and vernacular language, Punjabi. So this is what I do when I am taking class, because I'm very poor at English. So I use the vernacular language also, so that student should have a, you can say, first-hand experience what they will observe in field. In master's program and doctoral program at IVRI, I learned a lot from my guide and co-guides. Like what I told you now, learner, believer, and hard worker. These were the qualities or attributes of my master's guide, Dr. A.K. Mishra. He is not here in this world. He left during Corona times. And how to help those persons who are not related to you, especially because we are dealing with PG, PhD, and undergraduate programs. So my teaching is different in all these 3. UG, I'm very strict. PG, somewhat relaxed. PhD, hand in hand together. Because many students will come to you that this is not working there. You are not in their advisory committees. You are not their advisors. But still, how my teachers at IVRI, without being in my advisory committees, they opened the labs for me. So that quality I have imbibed from them. I never wanted to be a veterinarian. I never wanted to be a teacher, and I never wanted to be a parasitologist. But still, these are the 3 attributes I am teaching. Because when I was here, parasitology was, as a student, parasitology, you will ask, it's boring. Too many parasites, 100 nematodes, 15 trematodes, 18 cestodes, n number of arthropods and n number of protozoa. Sir, how we learn? Because at our time, parasitology was it's a sidekick. But now the subject has evolved. So when I joined here, I followed I was telling you know, that I learned teaching from my colleagues. So Dr. Nirbhay Kumar Singh, he is our head. He is an excellent teacher. I learned from him how to make this subject more attractive. So made some PowerPoints also, and trying to improve them with every set of time. So these are the, you can say,
you have a whole list. You're very lucky. We've had many people.
Many people are there in my life. This is what this young generation is lacking. There is this one. Google it. Alopecia. It will come to cancer. Rest is gone. This is just if I have an option, abolish this technology. This will be my first thing. because this is a chip which we are carrying with ourselves. This is your GPS, global positioning system. It will tell you where you are, what you are doing. But this has ruined. People say that education has never been practical in India, but education was always practical in India. You see Mahabharata, you see the episode of Dronacharya. Dronacharya, how he taught Arjun to be more practical. He made models at that time. So we have this education system way back in BC, before Christ. People are telling after that. So education was always practical in India. It is that education is a two-way process. You are speaking, we are not listening what you will say, okay, I will complete my class, I will get the hell out of here. So you always come with open mind, you will learn something. Not everything, but you will learn something. So you come with open mind, and discipline is very much important. In the future, they will go to the various interviews. They should know how to sit. They should know how to behave. You're sitting like this is making you are not taking anything from us. So these are the things which must be inculcated in them, because you are dealing with those persons who are in the higher age group. We are dealing with the young minds. So this is there. So discipline should be there. If he has fixed a surgery at 9 and he is not reaching by 9, the owner will then reach at his home and he will kick him the hell out of him. So discipline is most important. Discipline teaches us many things.
It's interesting, if the people who taught you were here to listen to what you just said,
and they are always with me.
they would see how
They are always with
Yes.
me. It's not like that they are not with me. They are, because they are with me in my thoughts. Because I am somewhat you can say emotional type of person. So I respect my teachers, because I have these two teachers have taught me. If you this is my story. I can speak 1-2 hours, no problem. But let others speak also.
Thank you for sharing.
Okay.
I'm not a teacher right now.
But have you been inspired?
Yes, sir, if I ever did join the teaching profession, it's because the inspiration will be all from the Sandhu sir, the pharmacology. Because his teaching method, that we say the pedagogy,
Yeah,
they are excellent.
that's what I first lecture.
Yes.
He was
You always clear every concept of that subject. So I think that teaching method inspire me a lot, that how I can teach the students, how I can engage with them, interact with them. They are the best.
Wonderful. Students? Anyone like to share?
I would like to share how I choose medical line.
Please.
My father has small clinics in the village, and in my school time, I go with him and saw their very poor family come to clinics. They can't afford medicine, and my father served as free, and they give blessings to my parents. Then I saw in their eyes how they can give blessings, and that give blessings in future help us where money can't help. And from that day, I think that I have to serve with peoples or animals where I can get blessing from patients or a family. So I do this. I don't run behind money. Get blessing from peoples.
Thank you for sharing that. See, I was running you guys down earlier and saying, oh, these young students, they don't know anything, but you're an example of someone who does. And I appreciate you sharing that.
philosophical.
Yes. Yes. Others? You've been motivated in your,
They're shy, sort of.
they're doing all right. Anyone else wish to share? How long do you think that was that I waited? 12 seconds. Doesn't it seem forever? That's why teachers always talk. They don't like dead, quiet air in the room. Like, oh my gosh, if someone's not talking, someone's not learning. one of the hardest things to appreciate, and one of the things that I learned from one of my early mentors, is that you shouldn't just rush through. That you should take the time, give people a chance to think, not race through and get through all the content, because everyone learns differently. People need time to think and process, and often especially when we are young teachers or new in the profession, we're just worried about getting the content across, and we're not thinking about what's going on in people's minds. And so when you wait, even if people don't answer, they've at least had a chance to stop and think about the content. And they might have an answer next time, or they might have the opportunity to do that next time because they know that you will stop and give them a chance to think about it. And what I've seen from all of you today is the fact that you are able to articulate who you are as teachers, why you are teachers, what's inspired you. You've all reflected really well. You can zero in on an incident or multiple incidents or multiple incidents where you are directed towards the teaching profession. And those are so important for your identity to understand, I just needed a job. Well, that's not a very good motivation, but all of you have talked about people and experiences and the way you've been able to engage and reflect and talk about how that will impact your future and impact the future of others, I think is so important. And I just commend all of you for sharing that. And when you get up in front of a group to speak and you share the stories as you've shared today, that's very inspiring. Every time you listen to a story, the people who are listening to you take things away. They reflect on their own experience. They talk about similar shared teachers, right? As soon as you started talking about it, it's like, oh, I know that, those kinds of connections take place. And I think that that's a really important reason why, as we are looking at teacher identity, that we need to start by thinking about who we are and what types of impacts and investments have come across our journey to where we are and how that will change us as we move forward. I think that it's been a really interesting opportunity today. Let's look through. I'm going to go 3 pages. So, are you the keeper of the schedule right now?
So it's 1:30.
When are we supposed to eat?
1:30.
1:30. Okay. We're going to come back and do a little bit after lunch. I know they wanted me to get wrapped up. Can you come back at 2:30 for a half hour?
Oh, sure.
Yeah. How about for 29 minutes? So it's not quite a half hour. When we come back, we talked about this a little bit. I just want to talk about some of the things that are a little more formal that can help you in your process. So we've talked about ways that you have been able to recognize those impacts on you, but I want to give you some tools. And I want to give you some tools to take back to your departments as well that you can use for people who are maybe not in the stage you're at, but so they can start reflecting on who they are as people who teach, not teachers, but people who teach, because that's what we're trying to be. We're trying to be ourselves first and represent that in our classrooms and in our teaching experiences, in our clinical work as well. And all of you have talked about different people. There wasn't really a single similar person that you talked about. You all had someone unique and special in your lives. And that's why it's really good to know who we are, because we are all unique, special individuals, and we will have different impacts on our students. And some of the people who were in the same classes as you may not have been inspired by the same people, but they may have been inspired by someone else in the next class, or someone who came to them with a problem that they couldn't solve. So it's that connection of people from all kinds of different backgrounds that really make a holistic, positive learning experience. Okay, so we'll shut down for a little bit. Thank you all for the start of the morning. And I promise not to keep you late this afternoon, but there's some stuff that I really want to get on your plates and have you take away from the session this afternoon. Okay, thank you all.
Thank you.
Yes. I am absolutely just roasting it here.